Welcome to the Live Unrestricted podcast, a show where you'll learn how to heal your relationship with food and your body so that you can focus your time and energy on more important things like your personal growth. I'm your host, Sabrina Magna, food freedom coach, and my mission is to help make your life happier and healthier without stress, overwhelm, or guilt about food. If you love the show, please do go out and share it. And if you're looking for support with your relationship with food, details about my programs are in the show notes. Thanks for spending time with me today. Now let's jump in. If you've struggled with your body image for the majority of your adult life, you avoid pictures or mirrors because you don't like how you look, you hate getting dressed in the morning because of the slew of negative thoughts you have about your body, or you feel like you're living life on autopilot without fully being present or engaged with the things or people around you, then this episode is for you, you beautiful human. Today, we're joined by an amazing guest, Gabby Jockers. Gabby Jockers is a Mindful Boudoir Photographer and the owner of Embodied Art Boudoir. Gabby uses a unique approach to photography that I absolutely was fascinated by that integrates mindfulness, body image work, and facets of intuitive eating to help her clients get out of their heads and into their bodies so that they can experience embodied expression, confidence, and self-love. I had no idea how fascinating this conversation was going to be. And in this episode, you're going to learn how to start feeling more empowered in your body, and you're going to learn about the importance of mindfulness in photography. This was such a good conversation that I ended up having to split this conversation into two parts. So today, in part one of our conversation, you are going to learn the fears that hold women back from feeling confident in pictures and holds them back from showing up as their authentic selves. We're going to learn why body image issues is independent of size, and why she actually sees the most body image issues in people who are in conventionally thinner bodies, why you need to heal your own fat phobia towards other people in order to accept your own body, how mindfulness can help you heal your relationship with your body, what neuroplasticity is and why you can rewire your brain and how to change your thoughts, and how to hack your brain to manufacture instant gratification. If you are ready to reclaim your power and feel more confident in your body than you ever thought possible, then this episode is going to be so powerful for you. So I cannot wait to jump into the conversation with Gabby Jockers.
Thanks so much, Sabrina. I'm so honored that you invited me onto your podcast to be a guest, and I hope I have something valuable I can share with your listeners.
Oh, I have no doubt that you do, because even before we started this interview, we started riffing, and I was like, okay, let's save it for the interview because you have so many important things to say, and we share a lot of our philosophies when it comes to body image. And so before we get into the meat of the conversation, I would love to know how you got started in boudoir photography and how your whole philosophy around mindfulness and body image and photography merged together.
Great question. And it is really all like one in the same journey. My entrepreneurship journey, starting my boudoir photography business, and my body image healing journey and mindfulness journey. They are all so intertwined. And my business really is an expression of what I've learned throughout my life and my journey through yoga and meditation, and also intuitive eating and body image and connection to the self, connection to body, connection, deeper values to self, and so forth. So, where do I want to start today? I'm the kind of person, you ask me a question, you'll get a different answer every single time. Mm-hmm. So today I think I'll keep it pretty simple because I know there's a lot we want to talk about. Just that I have been doing photography. I'm like one of those people who started doing photography from a very young age. And I finally got to the point after I moved to Colorado, I want to say 3.5, 4 years ago, that I was just like, I am so done working for bosses, working for other people. Let's keep it simple. I'm just so done working for other people. I know I can grow and achieve more and have a bigger impact in my own business. So I decided to start a photography business. It didn't take long until a friend of mine was like, "Ooh, you'd be good at boudoir photography." And I was like, I don't know, really. And she said that like 3 times over the course of a year. And then finally I did a boudoir photo shoot and I'm like, oh yeah, this is my jam. This is where it's at.
Can I ask what you loved so much about it?
I really loved the intimate one-to-one connection I had with somebody before I was photographing couples. So when photographing couples as a photographer, I was kind of coaching their energy into each other and coaching them to connect with each other. And that's kind of, being a photographer, a lot of it is recognizing and directing the energy present in the space and in the individuals you're photographing. So with couples, it was all about them connecting to each other. And what I loved about boudoir photography, and it reminded me so much of yoga photography, was that I was coaching people to connect deeper to themselves and to express a deeper level of themselves. That's not just here, smile, or whatever it is, or just, hey, exist, sit over there and make a sexy face or whatever. That's not helpful. Mm-hmm. So I really loved how it was very much a one-to-one intimate container with another individual, and I was coaching them deeper into themselves. I loved that.
Okay. So back to your story.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty simple at that point. I mean, I guess it's pretty simple now in hindsight. In the moment, it was not simple, which anyone who kind of discovers things about themselves would probably agree with. But I started, as a new business owner and as a new boudoir photographer, I started learning a lot about boudoir photography and running a boudoir photography businesses from other photographers and business owners who are very successful. And it never felt complete to me it never felt easy, complete, not even easy, but easeful, natural, until I started kind of tuning out the experts and tuning into what worked for me. The name of my company came from when I was journaling about, why I think boudoir photography is a good fit for me, how it expresses my values, how I can impact the world with this. And then I did a meditation and the words Embodied Art Boudoir just popped into my head, because that was getting to the heart of the matter, embodiment and art. So when I started tuning out the outside world and tuning into myself and my values and my heart and my body and understanding the messages that were coming from within rather than from without, then I started combining boudoir photography with something I had been practicing and passionate about and learning and going deeper in for almost a decade at that point, yoga, meditation, and mindfulness. And when I open myself up to do things differently than the way things are done in the industry, that's when I really found the perfect expression of, my business and myself in my business in the way that I can impact people in the most authentic way, in the most positive way, in the most loving way, in the most compassionate way, in the way that I can do best myself, not trying to be somebody else.
Yeah, I love that. And so what is it about mindfulness and about just being embodied in your body? Because I'm sure when you come to a boudoir shoot, that can be uncomfortable. And not only some people struggle with confidence and empowerment when they're alone, and then they're being forced to not only be with someone else, but be in pictures. And a lot of the women who I work with who are in my community, this is a really big pain point. They've lived their entire life or the majority of their life shaming their body, avoiding reflections, and then they start avoiding pictures. And that's a really huge part of it. I have a lot of my clients who said that they have so much regret and so much pain looking back on the 20, 25 years that their kids were growing up, that they avoided taking pictures with their families and with their husbands. And I mean, it makes me emotional just thinking about it now, because when your kids are growing up, you can never go back in time to when they were 5 years old and take pictures with them. And you can't go back to that. And I think it's so tragic that so many women hold themselves back because of that lack of confidence. And so what do you see is a main driver and a main sore point that keeps people from really showing up as their full selves?
To put it in the most simple way, what stops people from showing up and accepting themselves is what mindfulness helps people overcome, which is being so in your head and not in your body. There is a disconnect in experience rather than feeling how you feel in the moment rather than feeling how your body feels in the moment, what it's going through, any emotions that are coming up for you, any sensations that are present, you're thinking about them or you're thinking about yourself. That is a lot of our society, and much of our anxiety comes from being way too much in our heads, thinking too much. I know it sounds a little crazy because I feel like our culture is obsessed with thinking. Like, I feel like there's these medals given to, if you're a thinker, if you're intelligent, if whatever, it probably means you think a lot. And that can actually hold us back so much, because what's stopping somebody from showing up in a photo? It's not their body saying, no, I don't want to be in a photo. This is awkward to be hugging my child. I don't like this. It's not the body saying that. It's the brain. The brain and that inner critic that we have is feeding us these messages that were fed to us from our parents, our families, our schools, our society, our friends, our cultures, magazines, social media, advertisements, movies. Society's messages got into our brain, and it trained our inner critic in our brains to kind of feed those messages back out to us as if they were our own beliefs and our thoughts. But they're not. They're beliefs and thoughts that were given to us from the outside world. And when we give them too much real estate in our brains, and when we let them run the show, this inner critic voice, when we let it run the show, that's where this disconnect and that's where this huge fear comes from. Versus if we can slowly take our attention and slowly kind of give that inner critic voice less time to occupy us, less time to be the boss of us, and we focus our attention back into our present moment experience. What is actually happening right now? How does it feel? That is such a huge bridge to getting to a place of body acceptance, maybe even body love, self-confidence, and self-worth. Mm-hmm. Because how much of, you can just think about it right now. How much of a lack of confidence comes from looking in the mirror or sitting at your desk or whatever and thinking, I can't do this, or, oof, I look, insert negative words here. Or how much of that lack of self-confidence comes from the things we think about ourselves? And can you imagine if you looked in the mirror and you did not think something negative about yourself, but instead you thought something like, my eyebrows are looking great today. Or, oh, I look so healthy right now. Or, I love my smile. Or, whoa, my eyes are popping. Or whatever it is. If you look in the mirror and instead think something positive or even something neutral, just look in the mirror and you don't think something negative. Yeah. How much more naturally could confidence come to you?
Yeah. I have so many follow-up questions that I don't even know where to start. I guess
just pick one.
I know. So I guess the first thing is, you were talking about one thing that holds people back is not actually the sensations of your body. And I so agree, because something that I've been trying to do more and more is get used to feeling the sensations on my body, literally giving myself a hug, because I think I used to underestimate how good it feels to just feel that, feel my hands on my arms and give myself a hug. And people don't really do that. And so I really don't think it's about the actual sensations in our body, because it can feel really good to take that picture with your kids. What are some of that mental chatter? What are some of those things that people might be thinking as they might be posing for a picture or being asked to take a picture? What are some examples of that mental chatter?
That's a good question. And one that I've been working on for so long that I'm just not so present to that reality as much anymore. Mm-hmm. Because even before I went on my own journey to connect to my body and whatnot, I feel like there's a few different places that people come from. One is the hypercritical space, where I'm sure a lot of your audience can relate to that. The hypercritical space often leads to body dysmorphia and eating disorders and body image struggles and all that kind of difficult stuff. I actually came from the side of disconnection. So you could ask me, how are you feeling today? Or are you hungry? And I would not know how to answer you. That's where intuitive eating really helped me, because it was one of the avenues that I used to connect to my body and start to learn and hear and understand the messages my body was giving me. But that being said, on a surface level, I do know that the fears that a lot of people come up with is just, it's mostly concerns about how they look.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you found it valuable, I would love if you would share it with someone you know that could benefit. If you're loving the show, don't forget to subscribe over on Apple Podcasts so you don't miss a single episode. I really love hearing feedback from you, so please leave a rating and review over on Apple to help us get in the ears of more people who need it the most. Finally, come hang out with me on Instagram at Sabrina Magnan Health for more educational content and get up close and personal with me. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you on the next episode. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you found it valuable, I would love if you would share it with someone you know that could benefit. If you're loving the show, don't forget to subscribe over on Apple Podcasts so you don't miss a single episode. I really love hearing feedback from you, so please leave a rating and review over on Apple to help us get in the ears of more people who need it the most. Finally, come hang out with me on Instagram at Sabrina Magnan Health for more educational content and get up close and personal with me. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you on the next episode.